Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Cam. Welcome back to the Horror Movie Iceberg podcast. And Russell, we are at the start of our next big franchise deep dive. We are diving into the world of VHS, all eight of them. Yes, folks, there
Yep.
are eight of these movies, and I promise most of them are good. So it's not like a paranormal activity situation where they start great and then it just goes off a cliff. One of these movies are bad, the rest of them are at least, or like at the very least, good. So
Yeah.
we're in for a treat over these coming weeks.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've always heard, such good things about this franchise. Having seen absolutely none of these going into this, so this is my first watch on this VHS, and all of the subsequent sequels I will have watched for the first time. So, kind of looking forward to this.
Well, let's just get straight into it. Let's get into the one that started it all from 2012 VHS. This was directed by, well, I usually say the director off the top, but it's an anthology movie that's directed by lots of folks. So I'll just drop the directors' names as we go along. And these reviews will be different in that Russell and I have agreed we're going to go segment by segment. There will be an overall rating at the end of this. However, we're going to break the movie down by segments since they're anthology movies like The Twilight Zone or Black Mirror or something to that effect. Horror anthologies have been around forever, like Tales from the Crypt, the TV show, and the Amicus movie from the 70s. The horror anthologies have been around forever. Creep Show 2. So we're breaking them down segment by segment. There will be an overall rating, but we're going one by one by one because they're each individual stories and they deserve individual attention. Everybody got that? Great. Let's kick things off by talking about the wraparound segment, which is called Tape 56. And we're just going to get the wraparound out of the way at the jump because this is the thing that connects these stories together. And just let's talk about it right here. This was directed by Adam Wingard. He would go on to become the main creative force behind the Godzilla and Kong movies that we get nowadays. And it connects all of these segments together. It's about four thieves, Brad, Rox, Zach, and Gary, who film their crimes for reasons, but they come across an abandoned home with a dead body there, and they're there to steal a certain VHS tape. And I think of all of the VHS movies, this is the one that connects to VHS, like the medium, the most, because they're literally playing these tapes to see which one they're looking for, and they just can't find it. So the connection there is really solid, and I really liked this wraparound quite a bit. Of all the VHS movies, this is the one that connects back to VHS the most, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with that, not having a dog in the race or having seen all the other ones, yeah, obviously, you need this one to jumpstart what's going to be following in this film. So, yeah,
But Adam Wingard is, of course, doing all the Godzilla MonsterVerse stuff, so he would go on to do really big things after this. And he would just, like, his career is just going on to do really good things. He would go on to direct The Guest. He would go on to direct another movie we've covered on Horror Movie Iceberg, Blair Witch, the 2016 one. That movie's kind of mediocre, but he is at least rebounded with Godzilla and Kong New Empire. I like both, and us Godzilla fans, we're eating good. We're getting Godzilla -1 and Godzilla vs. Kong, and they're both great. So
yeah.
that we're eating good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Blair Witch, yeah, it was kind of a miss, but still obviously serviceable enough.
Yeah, but we get in now to our first segment, which is called Amateur Night. This was directed by David Bruckner, who would go on to direct the Hulu Hellraiser movie that we got a couple of years ago. He's done more things in between that, but that's like his biggest thing. And it tells the story of three friends who are looking to have sex. They take a woman to a hotel room, and, well, the woman makes them pay for it. The statute of limitations on spoilers is kind of up. The movie is over a decade old, so I'll just do a few spoilers on this one. But Russell, what did you think of this segment overall?
No, and kind of us talking off the air. I kind of like this because of the fact that they let this story breathe. Obviously, we see these group of friends bar hopping. Kind of, you see the one friend starting to experiment with early tech glasses with that would film, and they're basically out trying to just get drunk and trying to get laid, and try to film themselves getting lucky with women. So I appreciate the fact of this one just because of the fact that it allows the story to go a little bit more. Whereas we'll talk about the subsequent other ones, the other episodes in this anthology, where I feel like we don't. I feel like things are rushed. This one takes its time. And obviously, the girl with the bug eyes, it was obviously going to be a problem with just with the "I like you," and that was where obviously we knew things weren't what they seemed. So I like the intrigue set up for this because you're kind of curious, why is she acting so different, and that's why I think this episode works pretty well.
The basic gist is that this woman is a succubus and she turns into this hideous creature and just like I said makes these dudes pay for it.
Yeah,
It's brutal to watch. If you have never seen VHS, you probably have seen this shot from this movie. Like, and I'll put a poster of the woman here. It's one of the more recognizable shots of these movies. But if you've never seen the movie, you have seen this image. I'll just leave it at that. But then let's get to our next segment, Tuesday the 17th. And general thoughts on the last one, Amateur Night. It's my second favorite segment overall. My first one comes later. But this is one of the weaker segments. It's basically like Tuesday the 17th. I feel like this is a big old Friday the 13th homage. It takes place at a summer camp. It's about campers smoking marijuana. They see something they can't explain. And I don't know. I've never cared for this one.
yeah, kind of what we were saying. I feel like this one's kind of rushed. It's a group of, I mean, they're friends, but they're not friends. It was like the female that was driving told everybody different stories to try to get these guys there to this place where obviously like some shenanigans happened years prior. Kind of had like we said before, like it was almost like your American Horror Story with 1984 or whatever. It had the vibes of like the Friday the 13th. It was rushed, and then obviously with I did kind of like the glitch guy. I thought that was kind of creative, but I felt like the stories like we don't know anything really much about it. Like just when you think like the glitch man or whatever is like trapped or like and like falls in a bear trap, falls in like this and that. You think it's dead, but it's not. I just yeah, like you said, it's definitely a forgettable episode. I think.
Yes, and this was directed by Glenn McQuaid, who hasn't really done much since this. He has this and another anthology to his credit, and that's it. It's a bit strange that he never got more work after this, but I guess maybe we'll just never know. But I actually got this segment swapped around with the real next one. I got them switched. That's my fault. But
No, you're good.
next up is Second Honeymoon. This was directed by Ty West. We all know who Ty West is, the X trilogy. And I think of the ones that had come to VHS, he was the most seasoned because he had directed a couple of movies before this, including House of the Devil, which the ending of House of the Devil, my word, but that's another story for another time. He also directed a John Travolta Western called In the Valley of Violence. Ty West has a weird career. Like,
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that. But it tells the story of a couple going on a honeymoon in Arizona, and, well, there's a twist that happens at the very end. Like, if you thought the twist in X was pretty shocking, just know that Ty West has always been this way, and I'll just leave it at that. But overall, what did you think?
This is probably the second. I would probably put this one as my second favorite. I think. Again, I think just because of, um, you're invested in it a little bit. I just the ending part is the one that kind of gets me. I just don't feel like that's kind of. I feel like it's kind of out of left field. You don't really see that. I mean, I get it. That's the whole idea of a shock ending, but like, it's
Mhm.
not really merited. I don't really see with the story how you can justify that. Do you know what I mean? I don't. The whole idea is a second honeymoon, so obviously, these two, are in love and all this other stuff. And I just, like I said, I really just can't buy the ending like that. I mean, I like it enough, but I just, again, with when you find out the ending is the ending, I'm just like, yeah, just kind of takes me out of it just a little bit.
Ty West's career is pretty rough, like pre-X. Like House of the Devil's great. Like the
Hmm.
ending's great. The rest of it's just kind of there.
Yeah,
But it's like the X movies, like X Pearl and Maxine, are like the stuff where it's like he really finds his himself. I'm really
yeah,
looking forward to what he does with A Christmas Carol. I'm a Christmas Carol fanatic, so like
yeah,
him and Johnny Depp in A Christmas Carol, like I'll take a dozen, and I'll just
yeah.
leave it at that.
And how'd you feel about the ending with it? Like, I mean, to me, I just don't feel like it's completely out of left field. I can't get behind it.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about it. Like,
Yeah,
not in terms of content, but in terms of the buildup. And like, oh
yeah,
wait, really?
yeah.
So
And
like
it's like,
the buildup
yeah,
was what built me.
yeah. And it's
But
like,
then
why? Yeah,
But then we get to our next segment, which is the sick thing that happened to Emily when she was younger. And like I said at the top, I was saying that I thought that Amateur Night was my second favorite. I think I'm wrong. I'm gonna switch this with Sick Thing That Happened to Emily because just the implication of what happens with this haunts me a little bit more, if nothing else. But it tells the story of a girl named Emily who is talking to this doctor named James. And well, yeah, it gets pretty bad. Like it involves aliens and it's got like pretty sick implications. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I like this second because it has like the stays with you effect of it all.
yeah. Again, this to me, I know this is like a beat a dead horse theme. Again, I feel like this one is. I feel like we have like it's intriguing enough with the video chat, and then we just go off like a hard left. I get it, the surprise factor of you know, like obviously uh, the point of limitation for the spoilers, obviously, but like the whole these females just harvesting pretty much aliens. Just again, just kind of rushed. I don't really, I don't know. I just don't buy it. Again, it's just one of those things where it's hard to think about it. But like you said, yeah, obviously it does stick with you. But to me, it's just like I don't feel like the story is as like I feel like I feel like Amateur Night really sets the table. It takes its time to get there. I just feel like this one just doesn't. I feel like we rush to, oh yeah, by the way, he's just pulling this spiel on other women, and he's basically like the contact person for the aliens. I don't know. It's kind of hard to wrap my head around. You know what I mean? It's just one of those ones where I just kind of just yeah. And I think this is a little bit more of a weaker one too.
That's fair. I
Yeah,
see where you're coming from, but I
yeah,
think with VHS, you'll notice that there are some that just with that I find that I like more that just because like the implication of it sticks with you and you
yeah,
just have like the more you turn it over in your head, the more you're like, oh no, that poor
yeah.
girl. And you just like you just do two and two in your head and you get four. So that's where I'm coming from with my thoughts.
And I and I appreciate that. I think it's more of I'm trying to get my footing into this new anthology, into this new franchise, and I think maybe that's what I didn't know what to expect going into it, and I just like had like these ideas in my head, and when you're watching it, it doesn't come to fruition. You're kind of like, but what I'm saying is, I mean, I appreciate the stories. I just to me, it was just like sometimes when they hit you like with that hard left, it's just like it kind of takes you out of it sometimes. But as hopefully as this franchise gets rolling, hopefully I can roll with this a little bit. But like I said, I think still Amateur Night's still the one where I gravitate a little bit more with it.
Again, that's fair. I totally get that. And one thing that I forgot to mention when we were talking about Amateur Night is that this segment actually became its own standalone film called Siren, which was released in 2016. David Bruckner had nothing to do with it. It was directed by Luke Petrowski. Or no, wait, it was directed by Greg Bishop. I know how to read. I have not seen it, so I can't say like how good it is.
Yeah.
But this is one of two VHS segments that became full-fledged movies. The other one we'll get to when we get to. But to close things out, our last segment is 10/31/98, which was directed by Radio Silence, Matt Bettinelli Olpin, and Tyler Gillette. It follows four friends going to a Halloween party, and, well, the house that they go to is alive. And I'll just leave it at that for now. This is my favorite segment, not just for the radio silence factor of it all, though it's a pretty heavy factor in it, but I liked this ending the most. And I'll get to the ending in a second, but I loved the house. I loved the how everything just goes belly up with these people, and just how the house becomes alive and just terrifies them. I loved it. I loved everything about this.
I might pull an audible and I might put 10/31/98 as number two. And
Okay.
bump down the other one. I do like the fact I did get like Haunted Mansion vibes with some of it. And I thought I did kind of appreciate that. But kind of what you said, I do like the idea that the house is its own entity. It's its own person. I do like that. Even when we find out what's going on upstairs as well. I think there's a little bit more story there with some of that stuff. And also, like as they were like roaming the house and trying to find out what was going on, I had total shades of the Paranormal Activity with the cult, with the
Yeah.
just be like when they're going outside and like the house, the lights are on, but there's like nobody, like you don't see anybody, and that it kind of had like a flashback on that. But yeah, I'll put that 10/31/98 probably at the two spot here with the setup of this.
Well, this has just one of the greatest endings of any of these segments where they all escape the house. They're in the car, they're driving away, scared out of their minds. They have then all of a sudden they have this woman, and there's just woman in the middle of the road, and all of a sudden she disappears, and then their
Yeah,
car won't start. And it's not like the horror cliche of they get in the car and the car won't start. No, their car will not start, legitimately will not start.
yeah,
And their car is parked on train tracks, and a train is barreling towards them, and there's no help in sight, and they get hit.
yeah,
And that's how the movie, or well, the segment ends. There's a ending with tape 56 where the corpse becomes a zombie and the criminals become zombies, but the ending of the segment portion is this train hitting this car, and I loved this ending so much. And come to find out, there was actually a joke ending attached to this where in one take, Radio Silence, they said they basically booked it to where the friends found out the doors were unlocked. They got out of the car and they walked away, and they were like, "Oh, that was a really loud explosion, huh?" I'm glad they didn't do that. I'm
yeah.
so glad. It was a joke ending, but I liked the ending very much.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's effective enough for sure.
Well, not to get too ahead of ourselves, but VHS kind of predicted what it would do late last year when they did VHS Halloween. Like VHS has a real thing for the 90s and Halloween. Two of the movies are set in the 90s, 94 and 99, and then Halloween is the latest one, and that's all surrounding the holiday. So
Yeah,
10/31/98 walked so those movies could run pretty much, and I think
Yeah.
that's pretty.
Yeah, and obviously giving a nod to Halloween, October 31st, which is always cool. Yeah,
I have a real soft spot for I have a real soft spot for that kind of late 90s camcorder footage, kinda. I just like it, and so I
yeah,
think setting it in a period time like that, I just thought was a really good decision.
yeah, and I mean, I was, in the, well, 99, I was like 16, so like it kind of, I just think it's kind of cool because it's like I was growing up in that, you know what I mean, in that time frame. So I think that's kind of cool too.
Yes. But, Radio Silence, I mean, Bettinelli, Olpen, and Tyler Gillette have gone on to do great things. Like, they've directed Abigail, directed, they directed Scream from the reboot of Scream from 2022 to mixed results from the community, like just judging it out there. They did Ready or Not. They're directing Ready or Not 2, which is coming out in about a month at the time of this recording. So not only are they like still active, but they're among some of the more consistently good horror directors going today.
Yeah, Ready or Not is definitely a hidden gem for sure. Um, I put that up there. I always think that, and like another underrated horror film I always like is Your Next. I always think that's a good one too.
Oh yes, I did forget about Your Next. Yeah, that one is a very good one.
Yeah, that's a
But
banger.
that is all for the first VHS. In grand total, I'm going to give this a great rating. It definitely has its bumps, and there's like anthology movies are going to be tricky for some because it's like you take like the good with the bad, and you're like
Yeah,
you have to weigh that. For me personally, there's one kind of segment, and I enjoy all the others. So I greatly enjoy this one.
yeah, and kind of what you said. I'm just getting used to the footing of these. Obviously, kind of what you said. That you're going to have stronger outliers, obviously, in these types of films, and that's fine. But yeah, I would still say Amateur Night's probably. I would say the top, and then I would go with the 1031 two, and then I would say the what the second anniversary at three, and I would say that other one at four. It started off really good, but then you had me like at the end when it was all that stuff with the aliens. I'm just like, yeah, I'm checked out at that point.
Yeah. But I pass it off to all of you. What did you think of the first VHS? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to read what you have to say. And Russell, thank you so much for doing this with me. Tell the people where they can find you.
Absolutely. Yeah, you guys can find us Notorious by Chance on the Facebook group. We just finished shooting our In Memoriam episode, and Robert Redford, Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid won. That was my first time watching Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid. So check that one out to get what we thought about the film. And you guys can also find us on YouTube. Notorious by Chance. Chance and them got some stuff going on with like award shows, and obviously with the Oscars coming up. And then another podcast down the pike that we have episode is Iron Man 2 on our road to Avengers Doomsday. So Iron Man 2 we're going to be shooting next week. And that's really about it.
Yep, all the links down below. Subscribe to them over there. As far as this channel goes, we will be continuing on with VHS 2. That'll be in a couple weeks' time. However, next Friday, we will return to the world of Rob Reiner, and we will finally begin like Rob Reiner's like real golden age, if you will. Sure Thing was very good, but we're kicking off the real golden age of Rob Reiner, starting off with your first time watch, Russell, and my first time watch of Stand By Me. So we're going into this first time, even though we've heard it's just like a
I,
fantastic movie.
I remember watching this movie. I did see it. It's been so long, but I don't really remember much about it though. That's the thing. So it's basically kind of like my first time watching it. I honestly, yeah, it's just one of those ones that I think I watched it and I just watched it to watch it, and I just really didn't take much from it. So it'll be nice to revisit it, obviously, like I said, this is practically like a first time watch for me too on this.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that is all for us. For Russell, my name is Ryan Cam. We will see you all in the next one. Y'all take care.